When you first learn to crochet, a crochet pattern can look really confusing. It's made up of different abbreviations and terms which are meant to make the pattern easier to follow. Firstly, you're going to need to learn a few of the basic abbreviations for the most common stitches. Some basic stitch abbreviations are CH, which is chain, HDC, which is half double crochet, ST, which is stitch, SL, ST, which is a slip stitch, and RND, which is round. You may see other abbreviations in the pattern as well. These are just explaining what you need to do. So this might include things like INC, which is increase adding stitches, or DEC, which is to decrease stitches, or RAP, which is to repeat stitches. So that would be where perhaps you've got to repeat a sequence of stitches again and again throughout the pattern. Now that we've gone over a couple of the abbreviations, you can start to understand how a pattern is written. Patterns may be worked either in rows which go back and forward, or in rounds, for example, perhaps when you're making a hat. The pattern will assume that you know how to start a project with a chain. So it assumes that you know to start with a slip knot and then chain the appropriate number of stitches. You have to remember not to count the stitch that's on your hook, that is not a chain stitch. You'll see that this pattern has different instructions for different sizes. The smaller size is the one shown normally, and the instructions for larger sizes are in the brackets. For this example, we'll just look at the smaller size. This pattern is worked in rows and starts with a chain of 160 stitches. Once you've made the chain, you can move on to row 1. It asks you to start by making a half double crochet stitch into the third chain from your hook. After that first stitch, it tells you to make a half double crochet stitch into every other stitch in the chain. The information that you see in the brackets at the end of the row is instructions to tell you how many stitches you now should have. This will be less than when you first started with your chain because you've missed some chain stitches before making your first half double crochet stitch. You'll see that the next set of instructions is for rows 2 to 8. This means that once you've completed the second row in your project, you'll just repeat row 2 6 times until your work has a total of 8 rows. This is your turning chain, which you need to do at the beginning of each and every row. The amount of chain stitches in the turning chain will depend on which stitch you're working in. After chaining 2 stitches, the pattern then asks you to make 1 half double crochet stitch into every stitch in the last row. Once you've completed that row, then like I said before, you need to repeat that 6 more times until you've completed your 8 rows. After that, you can fasten off your work and weave in any ends with your wide-eyed needle. There are lots of other abbreviations and instructions that you will see in the patterns as you progress, but this is just an overview to help you get started. If you've got any particular questions about this, please just ask and I'll do all I can to help.